You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network. New shows every day. Find us at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
McGregor versus Poirier 3. It's all set for UFC 264, and DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC, has a knockout offer for this weekend's fight. DraftKings is offering 264-1 odds on a knockout in the first round during Saturday's main event. If the rubber match ends in a first-round knockout, you walk away with cash. Just pick the main event fighter you think will win by first-round knockout, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give you 264-1 odds on that fighter. That's right. Bet $1 on McGregor versus Poirier to win by first-round knockout. You win $264. There's no better way to put your MMA knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if MMA isn't for you. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotions on basketball, hockey, there's baseball going on, and so much more. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN when you sign up to turn $1 into $264 when you bet on a main event fighter to win by first-round knockout. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code THPN to turn $1 into $264 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings. I lost my spot. DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in Indiana, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Everybody, welcome to episode 61, season 2 of Red Wings Rant, brought to you by the Brothers of Discussion and the Hockey Podcast Network, where tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the 2021 NHL Draft again, and we'll highlight a few possibilities at pick 22. That's right. We'll get a little bit more familiar with who's at the tail end of that first round, see if there's anybody we want to outsmart the rest of the NHL. If there's anybody that probably fits right in that mold of that 22 spot. Of course, we've talked about a couple of folks that might drop that far, and I'll highlight them in a second. But before we get into too much of that, this actually might be a good time to ask you, Mike. I know we don't want this to go on too long, but do you think just with, the 5 picks in 2 rounds, do we get away from we need a center and just kind of look at, you've got Drapes in the war room just looking for the highest skilled possibility, whatever has seen, like you mentioned, his success when playing with the likes of Shane Wright. Do we just look for the guy that's going to, be able to play well with, not playing with Shane Wright, but in the same tournament as Shane Wright?
I would say that I think what you're getting at is, maybe not look for need so much and just best player available. But, once you get past, arguably the first, 9 or 10 picks, depending on who you ask, it just kind of, the skill levels all are, kind of on similar wavelengths, and you're just deciding which flaw you want to ride with. And that's kind of where I wanted to bring up a prospect to you, just because I have a feeling he's going to be available at 22, and he's probably going to be available for 2, if not 3 of our second round picks, Matt. I don't know if you're buckled in for this one. Aatu Raty. Now, it's a tough one because, this was a guy, he wasn't like, he wasn't like just highly touted. They were looking at him as number one pick. Like it was going to be Aatu and then the rest of the draft. And this guy just totally went ice cold. His point production just, fell off a cliff where he was, like 33% of his games. And then he had like 5 in 35 games last season, which is kind of a big yikes. But my God, man, he's still got the size. He's still got that that really hard shot that not a lot of people in this draft or many drafts are going to be able to do. The critique now is that he just hasn't quite gotten to a point where he's made it happen quick enough where it can be sustainable at the NHL level. But knowing that Yzerman has all these extra picks kind of in that same slotted area. I know that we want to look at best player available, but it could also mean we know Yzerman likes his reclamation projects, guys who maybe, fell down the ladder in terms of how other people, perceive their worth and giving them another shot. And I don't know if Aatu just, had his confidence drop a little bit. He tried to do a little too much to score. Matt, maybe not necessarily at 22. But do you see Yzerman eyeballing this guy maybe at 22 or one of our second round picks?
I think if he's in the second round, this is something I would snatch up right away. It's one of those things like based on his performance right in the last year, you would see this as more of like a second round pickup, in my opinion. But he was ranked so high the years previous, I should say years prior, that you can't let him slip outside the first round. So I think, like you said with Steve, and I brought this up earlier, is like, do you want to play the game that I'm smarter than everyone kind of thing? Like I see something that nobody else is seeing. He was supposed to be number 1. I'm going to grab him at 22 because he's still sitting there. Of course, he could be gone before that too. Or, and I'm not going to put this as like, or do you roll the dice and see if he's available in round 2? It's more or less just, do you just let him go because you've seen him drop production wise, and you should be seeing these guys elevate their game. So to answer that question, I'm just going to remind everybody that we've had one hell of a year, a hell of a year and a half. And if you want to point to that and say someone should be able to play at a high level despite all that, I can respect that comment. But I think too, like and Yzerman has said himself, like you've got a goal scorer, you've got a passer, it's all instinct. The kind of thing where we brought up before, teaching Zadina how to be a good two-way forward. That's the importance of strategy. That's the importance of, what you want to build in a culture of your franchise. That's where coaching comes into play. So I think if they see something that they can mine out of him, based on what they've seen in previous years, like is the shot still there? Is the playmaking ability still there? The skates still there? I think absolutely they would fire away at that. But I don't know. This does fill my box, right, for a center. It's one of those scary things, and that's where I keep posing the question: do you want to play that game? Are you smarter than everyone else? And I think the Red Wings. I'll end it this way. I think the Red Wings, with 5 picks in the first 2 rounds, can play that game. And they have some leeway to kind of say, all right, this guy was easy number 1 a year ago. He's available at 22. Boom, we're taking him. If it doesn't work out, we've got another 4 picks that we can see if we can pull one. Or what did we say before? We wanted 3 or 4 NHLers. Hopefully, one elite guy out of this draft. We've still got plenty of spots that could fill in.
Yeah, 3 or 4 would be outstanding. I just think, I don't know if I would call it, and I'm not trying to, disagree with you, but I'm just saying that it might not necessarily be we're the smartest guy in the room, but if other teams, with fewer draft picks, have to try and make the most of, what they have, are they going to roll the dice on a guy who, kind of got cold and hasn't quite had the numbers? So, Yzerman can maybe take that risk because he has that extra capital to, no pun intended, to Washington. He has that extra capital to, roll the dice on a guy like Aatu. So
that's the smartest point to be made in this whole episode so far. You can roll the dice because you have all those extra picks. I think that's the smartest take. That might be why it's an easy grab for Steve. Might not even. I mentioned before rolling the dice and letting it go to the second round. Why bother? Right?
Yeah. I'm going to throw one more name at you. And it's similar in that they're both risks, but for totally different reasons. Aatu, he kind of showed us early on, like, whoa, maybe this guy has elite, scoring ability. And he's got pretty good size, but it doesn't quite look like he's developing or he's got that go engine. And that's where I wanted to throw Trevor Wong at you. So he will definitely be there at 22. It would probably be way too early to take him. This would probably be more of a second round pick. But just in terms of, the flaws that you see in Aatu versus the flaws you see in Trevor, Wong's negatives are not of his oown doing. He's probably, he comes in advertised as the most fearless man in the draft. 5'8", man, 154 pounds. He's roughly 2 golden retrievers in weight. But he's 5'8", but he skates really well. Really dynamic guy. Uses he's got to have a lot of skill to get any kind of positioning and get any kind of, opportunity to get a goal. Because he's not bigger than anybody on the ice, but he just plays with really great pace. The vision's really good. The defense, he just really commits to that. For me, just reading more and more about this guy, I know Red Wing fans. I think we did have a little moment with somebody. I would say maybe like Gary Hoodler with the size, but obviously Wong plays totally different. More of a cannonball on defense, where I think he puts a lot of pride into that. And he's such a full effort guy, knowing that the Red Wings, not so much this season, but in the, previous season or two, we were kind of worried about, what's kind of the feeling in this locker room? Do we have guys who are ready to, give it their all every night? This guy would have no issue doing that. So maybe we wouldn't be able to see him as, one of our top 6 players, but, he'd be a bottom 6 forward. And as some of our, I'm looking at you, Helm. Players kind of in that vein, a little bit on the smaller side, all speed, all defense, start to get longer in the tooth. Maybe this is a spot where we look at Wong, and we know from what he's seen that at the very least, we're going to give a guy who 100% gives a shit. Where so many of these other players, it looks like, we're waiting for them to, develop, show consistency. Wong, game-to-game basis, always consistent. Always a motor that never stops. Matt, where do you see Wong as a potential Red Wing draft pick?
I think this is the same game like I was playing with Mackie Samoskevich, is that probably more skill clearly with Mackie, but a lot of people are ranking him deep, maybe not deep, but in the mid range of the second round, and I'm still sitting there going, well, I don't want him to get picked up by somebody else, so I'm taking Mackie. That's kind of where the interest starts. I think we could be safe, crossing our fingers and getting Trevor in the second round. I don't know, like in the same vein that you would risk it, right, to make sure you get, or not to make sure, but to test out Aatu Raty and see if we were right about him a year ago and maybe not so right about him this year. I would see Trevor as the second round pick. Now, if you're talking about where do I see Trevor fitting in a roster, probably in a few years. I think this guy his journey to the Red Wings would be fan favorite in Grand Rapids as they make a run at the Calder Cup, and then just turning into the guy who finally gets his shot. And if you're trying to round out a grind line type, I think Tampa Bay is showing us that you don't necessarily need a grind line, but you can have, 4 highly skilled guys that grind hard and can get you wins. But then there's Montreal that says, yeah, we can grind shit out against you. So where I'm going with this is that's where you plug in the tiny little Trevor along with Giovanni Smith. And there's your goddamn grind line. You got a guy that's going to be running at 100 miles an hour with a guy who's going to bruise the hell out of you, who also has a motor that doesn't really quit. But that's what you're looking for with the grind line. You're looking to take those other, the other side of the fence. You're trying to take their top lines or their top 6 and break it up, and you're pairing them with your bottom 6, and you could just wear them down with, maybe not a shot on goal, but at least some puck possession, because you can't get these guys off the boards. So fit for draft second, I think we could, this is one of those where I'm okay if somebody drafts them, but if you took them, in one of those first 2 second-round picks, that's exciting to me. And then team-wise, absolutely. Pair him up with somebody like Giovanni Smith, so he's got some more muscle behind
kind
him.
of offset it a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
I would just say is 2 more comparisons I wanted to make. I know that Hoodler as a Red Wing is kind of an obvious one, but in more recent memory, with the whole Cole Caulfield fiasco, Cole, all 5'7" of them, we obviously whooping ass in the playoffs. The Red Wings would kind of get a redo on that and kind of see what our version of a 5'8" guy would look like. And then additionally, another name that keeps getting floated around, especially as this team tries to, manage its cap situation, would be Tyler Johnson of Tampa Bay, another 5'8" guy. So knowing that there's a little bit of interest there, knowing that, you could maybe get a redo on the situation with Cole, this would just be sacrificing either your second first or one of your 3 seconds, for a high effort guy who gives a shit, in Wong. So I don't think it's that far fetched, but if they don't, pursue him with one of those picks, we could still be acquiring somebody like Tyler Johnson to, maybe get additional picks and then still get our 5'8" guy on the team. So, yeah. We'll see. I like them, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I think that's where this is going to get so interesting too. The deeper we get in the draft, and like I said, you can look at it as like we kind of fall in love with these guys, but I don't know if I want to keep, because it's not the same conversation. But I was talking about do you want to look like you're the smartest guy in the room, or is it like picking the best guy that the consensus of who's the best available? But with Trevor, it's so far outside of that. It gets so hard to measure. Like, when is a good time to draft a guy that could grade out to just be a bottom 6 forward, and how replaceable is that position? Based, you could talk about based on analytics, but then if you're getting a grinder, how important is the word fearless? Like, you can get a guy that can rag the puck, but do you want to pass on fearless when you're trying to fill out your bottom 6? Do you want to go forward, into the playoff era that we're hoping is just a couple years away, and knowing that Trevor could be making a huge difference? Like, that's the kind of guy who makes a huge difference in the playoffs for you. It's someone to me that I wish you hadn't brought him up, because now I'm going to be super sad when I see him get drafted by someone else.
I mean, that's a flaw that, with all those picks, that's one I would roll the dice on.
I think wrapping this up, we had I just realized I'm missing one of the guys I wanted to talk about, which is kind of a bummer. But one of the guys we have on the list here, another winger, Brennan Othmann. This will be the last one we'll talk about today. He's 6 feet tall, 174 pounds. Consolidated ranking has him at number 22. So a nice, easy name to pick out there as he'd be landing if we looked at everybody's ranking system. He'd be landing right in our laps because that's how it should turn out. High-paced attacker, precise, quick release, wrister, diverse rush patterns that fool even formidable defenders. That's from EP Rinkside, an advanced puck protector, cutting off defenders' recovery routes before working play to the inside. His hard shot and excellent release to get it off at his top speed is what separates him from others. That's from 2019 and hockeyprospects.com. So not anything to be too excited about with that last mention there. But Brennan, this is a guy that just kind of, with everything we've talked about with everyone else, I put Brennan in there because he's popped up on a lot of mock drafts, and it probably comes back to the fact that Elite Prospects consolidated rankings has him at 22. So I'm less excited about this. I feel like there's less going on with Brennan than any other guys we've mentioned, but it also works out to be a playmaker who's a little more physical than the other guys we've talked about, who should be, put a should on there, should be available at that spot, and would work out to like fit that role of like who do you pick up in the second round based on what everybody's seeing. Well, you pick this guy up, and you just go with, this is kind of going with that consensus who's the best available. Well, Brennan Othmann at this point at pick 22, left wing, 6 foot, 174 pounds, 16 points in his last season. Played for Canada, got 6 points in 7 games in the World Juniors, the 18s. It just kind of fits, right? It's just not exciting. It's not as exciting because the way that we talk about him isn't all about puck handling. It's not about all the skill it's being used. I guess like the descriptive words just aren't as exciting for Brennan, but it at least fits the whole, hey, who are you going to pick at 22? Probably this guy because he's going to be sitting right there.
Yeah. Just from what I've been, reading about the guy, it's all about physicality with him. He gets credit for being one of the tougher guys that you can draft, especially at this spot. He grades out well physically, and from what what we're gleaning is that when he does play, not only is he instigating a lot of contact, people hate playing against him. So then, he gets the brunt attack of people, seeing Othmann's number on the ice and they want to go hit him. And I know that, as far as Red Wings fans go, that would be a guy who I think it would be pretty easy for him to kind of move up in their hearts. He's kind of got that old school, why don't we have anybody who hits anybody? That definitely looks like Othmann's MO. So I think that, if we're looking at Wong potentially, if we're looking at Othmann potentially, these are two guys I think the narrative would be really easy to get Red Wing fans behind these kids and kind of root for their careers. Othmann being the big physical guy, Wong being the small physical guy. So pretty easy narrative to get behind those guys. And again, it's skill sets where they're not really projected to be, top 6 guys that you lean on for playoff points or anything like that. But they both have that, positive impression they leave on the rush. Othmann in particular, that's what he likes to do, is push the puck forward and attack as soon as the puck hits his stick. So, neither of these guys are going to be shy, both like asserting themselves. So it wouldn't be the sexiest pick, but I think it would be easy to root for those guys as you kind of watch them climb up, the minors.
So I think we'll wrap up today. I know I'm getting sleepy. I finally got my countertops in today, so I've been up pretty
I got my
early.
new windows.
Oh man, that's right. We both got stuff done today. It's kind of exciting, beautiful. Isn't it? To like just walking around, you see your windows. We've left the house 3 times today, and every time I come back and we see the kitchen first, and there's the new countertops. It's so nice. Just
the installers, when they're putting the windows in, they found 3 different wasp nests in my siding. So very excited for the siding to get replaced here the next month.
Well, I'm scared to come back now. Visit your house.
Yeah.
No wasp nests, thankfully, in our cabinets when our counters were replaced. Oh, you're gonna bring over the queen from just drop her in there. Well, it's all sealed up now, so you can't do it. So,
fudge.
Yeah.
All right.
So with that, everybody, we'll wrap up this conversation. Let's get in there and watch the Stanley Cup Finals and see if the Lightning prevail. What's the score right now? 1-0. All right, that sounds pretty good for Tampa. It's probably over. If you guys want to hear us do some more research on any of these other guys.
Oh, and we lost Matt. Well, what Matt was trying to get at is got to check out the YouTube channel, Red Wings Rant, Brothers of Discussion. We got absolutely everything you could ever want. Matt broke down a lot of the top prospects that we'd be taking at number 6. And as you saw in this video, we're trying to get kind of the tougher picks in order here. Because, again, this is where the draft kind of peters out. You don't know, exactly. You're going to be drafting a flawed player this deep. But yeah, Matt, I don't know if you could hear me or not, but I was just breaking down. You looked at a lot of the top 6 picks, and what we're trying to do is figure out these tougher ones where the talent level kind of evens out, and you got to decide which wart are you okay to have.
Where are you okay to have it? Right?
Yeah.
You got your roster. Where's the? Then I just wanted to let everybody know. Just send us the comments. You want us to check anybody else out. This is the second time my camera just died as I'm wrapping up. But find us as the Brothers of Discussion on YouTube. Man, I am sweating bullets right now. It's
you look like you're using my lamp. What's going on? Is it hitting you, Matt?
Yeah.
Do you feel it?
Yeah. You can see it. It's kind of, I guess on this side. Yeah. A little bit of red. Find us at BOD Hockey on Twitter, Brothers of Discussion on Instagram. And we'll keep pumping out these videos. Hopefully you guys are having fun. And we'll see you next week.
Counting down 3 more weeks.
Woo! All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a good one.